Greetings. It's Sunday night. And this is Stan. Just Stan once again, not in the studio, but in the study. And with your permission, I just wanted to remind myself of a few things, think out loud, and perhaps share something with you that might be helpful, might be useful, might be practical as you kind of wander into Monday. And that's the way it kind of is right now. I mean, what's up, Doc? What's going to go on? What's happening? And the ability to have high intentions for what we're going to do in the week gets harder and harder to do. And I find that that's why I really need to do my Sunday night meeting and think and pray and talk. And then toward the end of it, really get very intentional both in my prayers and my planning. And this is kind of the way I might get there. Hey, I would like to talk to you about falling in love with your voice. Falling in love with your voice. Yeah, I've given that the title for my little random ramblings tonight, but it'll take me just a few minutes before I get there, so hang on, please. Reading books. If you're in my life, and if you're in any life and business where you have to have good ideas, you just have to read a lot. And you usually don't read business books. Yeah, you don't usually read business books. Because please keep in mind, most business books are ideas that have already been thought about, cases that have already been played out, and programs that have already been tried. And somebody is reflecting on their past experience and saying, hey, this worked for me. It'll work for you in the future. And now we know for sure that just because past performance was there, and past performance, of course, does not guarantee future productivity, because even if you do all the right stuff, who knows what nature and pandemics and everything else will do to you. So one of the things I'm doing is exactly what my daughter encourages me to do every year. She and I are both fans of the mystery writer. Not really mystery writer, though it is a mystery. The thriller writer, Daniel Silva. And this guy is wonderful. And he's got an incredible gig. About every year, he comes out with a brand new book on the thriller experience. He's got this character named Gabriel Alone, who is a artist restoration person, but he also happens to be one of the top assassins and characters in the Israeli Secret Service. And that character goes around and does all kinds of things, usually against terrorists and jihadis. But the book we got this a few days ago is called The Order. And here we have Gabriel being called by a good friend who is in the Vatican. And one of the, and again, this is fiction, of course, the priest has been the top confidant of the present Pope in the story, of course, and he's just died. And his death is a little bit controversial, and some people are speculating whether it was not a normal death of an older man. Maybe there was something sinister in it, and that's what the book is about. And Silva comes right through. It's a page-turner, just page after page. You're getting carried along with the story. Great writer. Formulaic, of course, but people love it. And every year, hundreds of thousands of people faithfully and dutifully buy his wonderful book. So I'm reading The Order. Also, I'm continuing on a kind of a nightly basis to read the book called The Splendor and the Vile, which is a story of Winston Churchill and his intimate colleagues, comrades, and family during the time in Britain called the Battle of Britain, the bombing of Great Britain before the United States entered the war, in which it appeared that obviously Britain was going to be invaded, and she was being bombed to death before she was invaded, and those were trying and terrible times. And it's about that. A guy named Eric Larson wrote the book, and again, bring it back into times today. What does it take for a man or a woman to be a leader in trembling, terrible, terrifically difficult times? And again, a rather important experience. Then I decided to read, after reading in the New York Review of Books, called Michelangelo, God's Architect, the story of his final years and greatest masterpiece. It's by a guy named William Wallace, and not normally would I spend $30 on a book, but I might do that because this is an incredible story of, in effect, Michelangelo's final years. From 70 to 89, and he worked to the very end, and some of his greatest work was done in the last 19 years of his life. Now, that, as I've become old, and I am old now, hopefully I have the energy of a much younger man, hopefully the creativity of a much younger man, and the experience to make it even better. Certainly, that's something we all want, and I have been led to believe that we should be talking about how those of us in this stage of our lives, in our encore years is the term I use. This is our encore. We've had a career. We've raised our families. We've done a number of things, many of them well, many of them not so well, and we've all occasionally been frauds, failures, and fools from time to time. But now we are at a stage where perhaps it is coming time for us to do an encore performance. Obviously, perhaps the last one. And what should it be like? And what should it be something we do? And of course, you now know that I'm encouraging everybody in these post-COVID times, no matter what your age or stage, don't let your past be a primary guide to what you should do going forward. Please. Much of what you've done in the past and what you would be doing if things went on as normal, they won't work anymore. It's going to be very, very different. And so don't let your past performance and your past career and your past appearances be in any way the primary guide to what perhaps God is calling you, or perhaps the opportunities that are before you to do next. Do something very, very different. I am the owner of a domain name called The ENCORE Experience, The ENCORE Experience, and it's going to be about helping people in their encore years, both in terms of how they worship God, how they do their work, because they all have work to do. You have work to do until you can't do it anymore. How you maintain your wellness, how you deal with the issues of diminishing wealth and health, all of the things that go into, as someone once said many times and repeated many times, growing old is not for sissies. But it could be a time for encore. Hey, if you'd like to explore that with me, I'm looking for friends who might want to join me on the encore exploration. See if we can make a life or a business or an organization or something worthwhile out of that. I would be grateful. Again, are you ready to do encore? Hey, reach out to me at stanhouston@gmail.com, stanhouston@gmail.com. I'm going to get a cup of tea, so I'm going to stop the broadcast and play a little music, and I'll be right back.
He careth for you.
Well, I've had a lot of years in radio. I've done thousands of radio programs. I've done thousands of commercials all over the world, not necessarily because I was in all over the world when I did them, but they certainly went all over the world, and even more so now with the podcasting phenomenon. And in some respects, we kind of invented the idea long before it became even well known, and certainly even a few years before it became popular. But now it has truly changed the deal. Traditional radio is having a difficult time. In fact, right now there are over 400 radio stations who've just gone silent. They don't have enough ad revenue. They haven't shut down and declared bankruptcy yet. They've just gone silent. And the traditional tower and transmitter radio that you usually listen to in your car, that is programmed by them, is being quickly replaced by just exactly what this is. Something that you can listen to on your smartphone, on your tablet, on your computer, anywhere, anytime, on demand. It's taking over. And we declared that our little company called What It Takes Radio is seeking partnerships. And we're going to try and see if we can go into the world and particularly help people of the second half of life to tell their stories and share their wisdom, insight, and truth, that they can help bring a little more happiness into the world. And we're going to help get them on the radio, which came to this, finally at 11 minutes. I'm re-equipping, and my package from Amazon for some reason came at 9 o'clock this morning, Sunday morning. Why? And it's a new microphone package because we are doing a number of podcasts now, particularly one that's going to be great, called the Cowboy Up Podcast. And we have 3 or 4 other ones that we're helping, like the Praying Planet and their podcast. But the microphone box, I opened it, and there was this wonderful saying, fall in love with your voice. Fall in love with your voice. And I smiled. You know, we oftentimes joke about people who are in love with the sound of their own voice. But that's what the microphone is about. Here's the deal. The voice is not just your voice. Your voice, as writers and musicians and creative people will tell you, in fact, it's true of all people. It's to find the place and the space and the thing you should be doing. To be speaking and teaching and helping and mentoring out of the very depth of your being, not just out of some career position that you have, your voice. And that's why I want you. This is a terrifically good time because these are difficult times. These are terrible times right now in many ways. I want you to think about how part of what your life and business needs to have is your voice, your programming, your speaking. I told one gentleman that his little folder was very, very nice, except nobody would read it, and it was boring. And he had to start telling stories and sharing wisdom and insight and strength. He had to make people smile. He had to demonstrate that he was fully alive, that his business was different by the very personality and performance and presence of himself. And he can only do that using the radio and television media. And you know what? The same thing is true for you. So I'm just going to encourage you on this Sunday night. We've sent out the notice. We are looking for partners and affiliates who want to get involved in doing something very different. They're going to be on the radio. They're going to be on the air. They're going to be worldwide, telling, sharing, speaking. And by doing that, as one guy said, it could be that I could be the best form of marketing for my company and my business, and I would love to do that. That's not work. It's something I would love to do. And I said, and if you do it well, people will come to you, and they will listen to you, and they may even believe you, and then they may even buy from you. And he said with a smile, all of that would be very nice. Well, you know what? We can help you. StanHouston@gmail.com, StanHouston@gmail.com. We can help you. I promise that in some way, in these difficult COVID times, my team and I, both in radio and television, and in terms of entrepreneurial do whatever, we can help you. And we'd be glad and welcome the opportunity. It is Sunday night. We're a little bit tired. We will be well rested. And hopefully tomorrow, by God's grace and mercy, as we quote, hey, get a little evening grace on Sunday night. We'll be ready for Monday morning glory. Best and blessings to you. This is Just Stan in the study, wishing you all the best.